Okay, so we're back in Suicide Squad Kill Justice League, and we have more updates on the review basis controversy going on right now, with comments from Paul Tassi and Paris, aka Vicious696, over on Twitter, with a really big hot take on that one. We're going to talk about it today. On top of that, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a few pointers, if you are inside the game, on how you get your pre-order bonuses and the digital deluxe rewards of skins. And we're going to do a hot take on the IGN preview article that went up based on the main Flash boss fight, which now I have done. You are going to see the gameplay of it in the background throughout this video, and it's actually a really interesting one because I don't agree with them at all, and I think realistically they're absolutely full of pish. Now, we're going to dive on into the video today. If you haven't already, smash the beautiful blue thumbs up and subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated. On top of that, check out our sponsor, Advanced GG, the #1 clinically proven energy supplement on the market. My favorite flavor, cherry vanilla, but you guys can catch an array of flavors via the link in the description. And also, while I've got you here, if you want to join the clan, we're going to be going through and playing as much of this as possible. So you'll see my username in the bottom right hand side. Send me a friend request and we'll get you inside of the clan. Leave your gamer tags down in the comment section or something, and then I can know exactly who it is wants to jump on in, and we can start growing this Suicide Squad. Now, with that being said, let's dive on in to today's video. So an article on Forbes has surfaced for Suicide Squad, no reviews, no Metascore launch, it's a choice, to be sure. Now, technically, Suicide Squad has arrived in early access today, but given the rolling launching times, it was out almost a day in some regions. Unlike essentially every AAA game release, players cannot head to games websites or YouTubers for comprehensive reviews right now, only live playthroughs and Twitter impressions. Now, given the review codes were not doled out until servers were live, there's no Metacritic score and there's no indication when there might be one. The idea that, well, they can't play unless servers are on, obviously, does not really hold water if you've done review process like this before. While it's true for some online games, there are absolutely ways to allow for early review access for always online games. Looking back to the launch of Diablo 4, for instance, I was given access to review build of the same game from May 16th to May 26th. That came with a May 30th embargo for a June 2nd launch. That was a separate review build of the game, and sadly my Necromancer's progress did not carry over to launch, but I got to play the entire campaign and a good chunk of the end game for my review. Now, this is a really big one because Paul Tassi is absolutely peeved with this, to say the least. As you can see, obviously there's no Metacritic score right now. It does state that it releases on February 2nd, which is what it is. I guess there's probably going to be review processes for the actual launch rather than the early access launch, but again, the price bracket withholds inside of that of $100 for the deluxe edition on early access. Now, we're going to look at this post right here from Vicious696, or aka Paris, and if you guys don't know who this guy is, he's an infosec by day and a host and creator for a kind of funny gamertag radio. He works a lot in Destiny, but irrelevant to it. Right here he has a post stating, having a lot of private discussions about Suicide Squad and the decision to hold reviews until after launch. My 2 cents, after hearing various viewpoints, is WB did what they felt was best for the long-term health of the game and the studio. If the game fails, the studio may face mass layoffs and or close altogether. As a consumer, you have two choices: buy the game and judge it for yourself, or wait for the reviews, streams, post-launch and judge it for yourself. Now, an extremely big hot take, and I understand exactly what he was trying to get to with that one, but it tends to see that Paul Tassi maybe did not. As he states right here, wait, what does that mean? Not sure how to read that as something other than trying to avoid negative reviews. Paris does respond and states, that has been my thought, but this game has also had a bad public perception about people who played the beta say they loved it. So Paul Tassi responds with, right, but this is assuming what? Press wouldn't love it because of the negative 2-hour previews? Now, a really, really good take on this right now is this post that responded to it from Jean Jacket, just an absolutely tiny Twitter account that came out of nowhere with an amazing cynical take. By withholding hiding code and making everyone wait, they're getting a ton of press, which will lead to more sales if only out of morbid curiosity. We know people will drop money on something just to see how bad it is. That's what WB is banking on, and he's not wrong at all. Actually, it's actually hilarious to see how this sort of stuff plays out, and Hogwarts Legacy was a key factor in that. There was so much bad publicity around it based on the factor of the whole J.K. Rowling situation at that point in time, that the game actually sold tremendous numbers, and that is probably what WB are doing. I don't have an absolute solid intake on it, but with no Metascore, no reviews from YouTubers, and no reviews from mainstream articles and or otherwise, it's a little bit mad to say the least. Although reviews are going to start surfacing over the next 24 hours or so before the full launch, this is at a point where we're already too late on that process. Now, I want to know what you guys are thinking about this down in the comment section below. Do you agree with Paul Tassi, who seems extremely angry about this process for some reason or another? Or are we agreeing with the basis that it's more of a PR stunt than anything else? Let me know. Let's get a conversation going via the comment section. Now, just a quick one for you guys who have been wondering, because a lot of you have been commenting on my previous video with regards to your pre-order skins and your digital deluxe skins. Now, there was actually a whole take on this where there was nobody actually obtaining their skins whatsoever, and people were getting a little bit peeved. They don't really know when they're coming through, but there is a point when it just automatically clips. That's really odd. So in a lot of games, normally there's something big that happens and then you will obtain a part of your pre-order bonus, such as Diablo 4 did that with the horses and the mounts. When you unlock them, you then obviously got to use them. But with this game, for some reason or another, as soon as you've done your affliction training, the stuff kind of just becomes available. So if you keep playing the game and then notice that you get to the affliction training, which is essentially the weapon afflictions and the elemental afflictions on your weapons and stuff, then you will then obtain these bits of gear, which makes absolutely no sense to me at all, because it wasn't available for me until this point, and there was no big bang or anything like that, big hoo-ha, big commotion about me obtaining these pieces of gear. It just opened up. So if you guys want to do anything at all, make sure you get your affliction training done, and once you've done the affliction training, you'll then have access to these suits. Now, this is a fair few amount of hours into the game, which does make it a little bit more frustrating than anything else, because you obviously are having to wait for it, but once you get to that point, you will be absolutely fine. Now, we're going to take a look at something quite controversial right now, mainly because the IGN review for the preview is what's dealing with a lot of the problems right now with the review process, and actually being able to read the overall review process, which what they put up there was quite interesting. Actually, we're going to read it out for you now, and then I'm going to completely give you my opinion on it. But they state right here that while we have this provided boss fight footage against a flash footage to reference, I just want to mention that I thought this fight was incredibly annoying. There's no indication where the Flash is most times, and he's the Scarlet Speedster, so he's just consistently zipping around the map. That didn't make the fight hard, it just made it frustrating. You get a handful of shots off on him before he teleports to the next location, so you're just trying to chase him down or catch him standing in one spot long enough that you can get hits in before he does it all over again. I do wish there was a bit of a he's down, get him moment, but unfortunately it seems like the trope wasn't used here. Now, this is quite an interesting one, okay, because I've just literally gone through the Flash boss. I kind of held off on it and wanted to see how it would all play out, and then we went and done it, and I think that this is absolute pish. It's ridiculous. It's complete carnage that this was actually the review that was put up. We're going against the Scarlet Speedster. You're going against Flash, the fastest man on Earth, the fastest human on Earth, and we're complaining that he's too fast. The boss fight was obviously only going to ever go one way, and you can see on screen and throughout this whole video exactly how that planned out. For me personally, don't get me twisted, it wasn't difficult and I got it done first time, but it was so enjoyable to go against the Flash, and you knew that it was going to be fast because it's the bloody Flash. You had to keep your eyes all over the screen, and everything was quite frantic and quite carnage-like, but it was just so much fun, and I can't wait actually to get into the other ones as well. But the Flash one right here, this is why reviews can sometimes be a bit skeptical, especially from big mainstream ones. IGN is such a big company when it comes to gaming reviews, and yet this take on it was absolutely awful, or at least my take on it was complete polar opposite. So for me, IGN are absolutely full of rubbish, and I think that it's something that they kind of need to take into consideration when they're playing these games, that you can't really slander down something based on how it kind of like looks in that regard, because you're comparing this to other games. You're not just basing this on whether you had a good time or not, and maybe that's just my opinion on their review, but their review for the preview was absolutely atrocious. So it doesn't surprise me that WB don't want them to hit another one up, because it doesn't hold any weight. If you guys want to play the game, go ahead and play it. I would recommend that you do play it, because it's good fun, it's a good crack, and you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. But we're going to have a full review come up once I finish the campaign in maybe the next day or so. Be interesting to see what comes up, but up until the next time, that's all we've got for right now. Make sure you stick a lightning bolt in the comment section below if you got this far into the video, just to support the Flash a little further. RIP, mother trucker. Thanks again for watching, appreciate your faces, and as always, I'll see you in the clouds.